Imagine kneeling before your king and realizing his mercy is measured in how many eyes he lets you keep. Welcome to Murderous Monarchs, the royal crimes you were never taught in school. 7 medieval rulers whose real, documented atrocities never make the glossy timelines. These aren't legends or fairy tales twisted by time. They were the true stories that were quietly pushed out of classrooms because they read too dark, too brutal, too unforgettable. Stay with me to the end, because each tale locks into the next like links in a chain, drawing a line of blood straight through the heart of medieval history. Basil the Bulgar Slayer. Our journey begins in the Balkans, AD 1014. The Byzantine Emperor Basil Set faced a stubborn enemy, the Bulgars. At the Battle of Kleidion, Basil crushed their army and captured thousands of men. But victory wasn't enough. He wanted terror. Chroniclers tell us Basil ordered his soldiers to blind the captives, some say 15,000 men, leaving one one-eyed guide for every 100. That grotesque caravan was sent staggering back to their czar, who upon seeing them collapsed and died of a stroke. Basil didn't just win the battle, he branded himself forever. His new title, the Bulgar Slayer. This was psychological warfare on a national scale, ensuring no one forgot the price of defying the emperor. Imagine standing in his court, knowing this was a ruler who measured mercy by how many eyes he allowed you to keep. Ethelred II, the Massacre King. Now crossed the sea to England, year 1002. King Ethelred II, remembered as the unready, faced waves of Danish settlers. Instead of diplomacy, he chose slaughter. On St. Brice's Day, he issued an order that still echoes in horror: kill every Dane living in England. This wasn't soldiers on the battlefield. It was neighbors turning on neighbors, knives flashing in the night, families murdered in their homes. Archaeologists have uncovered mass graves that match this blood purge, proving it was more than chroniclers' rumor. Ethelred thought he was cleansing his kingdom of potential rebels. Instead, he provoked more Viking invasions. His massacre wasn't just brutality, it was short-sighted cruelty that set England on fire for years. Andronikos Komnenos, the tyrant of Byzantium. Slide forward to 1183, Constantinople. Andronikos Komnenos rose to power on a promise to sweep away corruption, to restore dignity to an empire riddled with scandal. At first, people believed him, but his methods weren't reforms. They were strangulations. He had Empress Maria of Antioch seized and executed. Then he ordered the teenage emperor Alexios II strangled so he could wear the crown himself. Under his brief reign, mutilations and drownings became public theater. Executions weren't quiet. They were designed for spectacle, so everyone understood the penalty for resistance. For 2 years he ruled by fear. But fear doesn't last forever. In 1185, mobs turned against him, and his own capital delivered a punishment that matched his cruelty. A lynching so brutal it dragged him through the streets, mutilated him, and left his corpse as a warning. The man who preached reform became a footnote in terror. Afonso IV of Portugal, the king who killed for politics, shift west to Portugal in 1355. Prince Pedro had fallen in love with Inés de Castro, a lady of Galician nobility. Their love was inconvenient. Inés came from a family with dangerous political ties, and King Afonso IV feared that his son's obsession threatened the realm. So he made a decision only a medieval monarch could justify. Inés had to die. She was murdered in Coimbra, in front of her children. Some say she pleaded for her life. Others say the assassins didn't hesitate. What's certain is that when Pedro became king, he hunted her killers. 2 were captured. He had their hearts ripped out, one through the chest, the other through the back. His message was chilling. They had destroyed his love, so he destroyed the very organ of their lives. This was monarchy at its most intimate. Family politics turned into murder. Vengeance turned into statecraft. Peter of Castile. the cruel or the just. Across the border in Castile, another ruler's name still divides historians. Was King Peter the cruel or the just? In 1358, Peter invited his half-brother Fadrique, master of Santiago, to Seville under a promise of safety. It was a lie. Behind palace walls, Peter struck first, and guards finished the job. His reign would continue this way. Executions of nobles, betrayals of kin, blood running through Castile's courts. Those who supported him called it justice, a necessary purge of traitors. Those who hated him called it cruelty. But ask yourself this: if justice and cruelty look the same, what does that say about the throne itself? James II of Scotland, the broken oath, travel north to Scotland, 1452. James II, a king desperate to break the power of the Douglas family, summoned William, the 8th Earl of Douglas, to Stirling Castle. He promised safe conduct. The Earl trusted him. At dinner, tempers flared. In private chambers, steel was drawn. The king stabbed Douglas himself, and courtiers rushed to finish the killing. His body was hurled out a window into the castle yard. The safe conduct was worthless. James had shown every noble in Scotland that a royal oath meant nothing when weighed against power. From then on, every invitation from the king's table came with a shadow. Conradin of Hohenstaufen, the beheaded boy. Finally, to Naples, 1268. Conradin, the last scion of the mighty Hohenstaufen dynasty, was just 16. He led an army to reclaim his inheritance, but was defeated and captured by Charles of Anjou. Tradition dictated ransom or exile for such noble captives, but Charles wanted theatre. In the marketplace of Naples, before a roaring crowd, Conradin was forced onto a scaffold. Witnesses said he dropped a glove into the crowd, a final gesture of defiance. Then the axe fell, severing not just a head, but an entire dynasty. This was monarchy at its coldest. Not war, not justice, but annihilation of a rival's bloodline. Conclusion: crowns written in blood, 7 crowns. 7 crimes, different kingdoms, same message. Basil blinded an army to erase a nation's fighting future. Ethelred slaughtered his own settlers to prove purity through blood. Andronikos strangled an empress and a boy king, turning reform into terror. Afonso ordered a woman's death for politics, while Pedro avenged it with torn-out hearts. Peter of Castile betrayed his own blood under a roof of lies. James II of Scotland turned safe conduct into a death sentence. And Charles of Anjou ended a dynasty on a public scaffold. These were not fairy tales, they were not exaggerations. They are recorded in chronicles, confirmed in letters, echoed by archaeology. They show us what schoolbooks smooth over, that medieval monarchy was not pageantry and honor. It was brutality dressed in velvet, justice sharpened into execution, politics carried out in blood, final solicitation. Join the exposé. If you're still here, you've proved you don't look away from history's darkest truths, and this is just the beginning. Next time we'll expose treason in the blood, siblings who built and broke medieval thrones. These aren't side stories. They are the beating, bleeding heart of medieval politics, and you won't hear them anywhere else. So subscribe now, hit the bell, and join this community of truth seekers. Together we'll keep pulling the velvet curtains off the throne until every hidden crime is laid bare. History doesn't wait, and neither should you.